So the Chiefs got 2 players back last week, with one of them already providing a bigger boost than expected to the pass rush, and this will only help the defense as a whole in the coming weeks. Then another key piece is trending towards playing, which will also elevate the entire offense, and that means the Chiefs are heating up at the right time as they prepare for the final stretch of the season. So let's talk about it, but first, how about those? Alright, first up, the Chiefs made a couple of roster moves today when Andy Reid announced at his presser that kicker Spencer Shrader was being placed on injured reserve. Meanwhile, they were going to sign Matthew Wright to the 53-man roster from the practice squad. Shrader was the kicker the Chiefs signed from the Jets practice squad immediately after Harrison Butker was placed on IR back on November 15th. From there, he kicked 2 games, making 3 extra points against Buffalo, and then made all 3 field goals along with 3 extra points again against the Panthers. From there, it was reported he tweaked his hamstring while doing some sort of warm-up or workout the very next day following KC's win over Carolina, and that's when KC made the move to go ahead and sign Matthew Wright to their practice squad last week, and to his credit, he had a great game last week in the Chiefs' narrow victory over the Raiders. He made his lone extra point as well as went 4 for 5 on his field goal attempts, with his only miss being a 59-yarder that fell just short. So I'm not going to fault him for that, though his career long is indeed just that, a 59-yarder that he made when he was kicking for the Chiefs the last time Butker was injured for a few games back in 2022. The only real concern I have about Matthew Wright is that his leg doesn't seem strong enough to consistently kick touchbacks on kickoffs, and because of that, the Raiders did almost house a kick return when Amir Abdullah went 68 yards to give Vegas incredible field position at some point in that game. So honestly, I don't really mind Matthew Wright being on the team. He's solid kicking field goals. He just makes me a wee bit nervous in regards to kickoffs. There's nothing KC can really do about that right now, though, because again, Shrader is now on IR and will miss at least the next 4 weeks, and with all due respect to Shrader, I hope we don't need his services again the rest of the season. The reason for that is kicker Harrison Butker can technically have his window to return from IR open up after this upcoming game against the Chargers. The question is, will they open up his 21-day window to return next week or hold off? Well, Andy Reid said today that Butker is progressing nicely and he could potentially return here soon. Big Red specifically said potentially yes when asked if Butker was on target to return around the week 4 mark since having surgery on his knee. Quote, "He's doing good. We'll just see how it goes here the next week or 2. He's making good progress, and that's a plus." And obviously, the biggest key will be to have Butker back and healthy in time for the playoffs, so you don't want to rush him. But the sooner the better, because there's basically nobody better in the business than butt kicker himself. If his return window does indeed open up next week, they could obviously still keep him out the next couple of games, but maybe he finds himself back around Christmas time, which is supposedly a similar time for Hollywood Brown to be making his return. I shared about that in my last video, but Hollywood has an appointment with his surgeon for clearance here soon, and Ian Rappaport said Hollywood could return around week 16 or week 17, which is obviously great news and would be much welcomed. But none of it really matters if Mahomes has no protection and doesn't have time to even throw a pass. That's why all eyes are on the Chiefs' newly signed left tackle DJ Humphries. Will he play this week or nah? Well, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes both spoke about him today, and it seems like Humphries is trending to start this Sunday if all goes well at practice. So I've got to talk about that, the welcomed return of Omenihu and Pacheco, and more. But before I do, if your life is anything like mine, time is of the essence, and we are all busy. That's why I rarely personally take the time to prepare myself lunch on days when video content needs to get made, and that's where the sponsor of today's video, Huel, is here to help. Huel is no prep meals that don't compromise your health, and after using them for a bit now, it's been a great fit for me and my lifestyle, plus it honestly tastes pretty good. Huel is ideal for when you're pressured for time, on the go, in a rush, or away from the kitchen. All you need is some cold water, 2 scoops of powder, and shake. You then have a very convenient and nourishing meal in just seconds. I love Huel's Black Edition, which is their low-carb, high-protein powdered meal packed with 40 grams of protein plus 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It's also plant-based, gluten-free, and has no artificial sweeteners. Plus, Huel products are designed by nutritionists and dietitians to give your body everything it needs from a healthy meal in an extremely easy and convenient way. And if you want to save money, save time, and eat healthy, use code HBTC15 for 15% off your first Huel order plus a free t-shirt and shaker, a $40 value. That's code HBTC15 HUEL15 for 15% off your first order. Link is in the description down below. And having a busy life shouldn't stop you from eating healthy, so check out Huel today. Next up, before I get into some news that should point towards the defense taking a step up here soon, Andy Reid was asked about offensive tackle DJ Humphries today and if he could start Sunday night against the Chargers. Well, Andy said they are first wanting to see what they can do with him at practice, take a look at how he feels, the communication between them, and they're just going to take it day to day. I mean, that's what he always says. However, he took snaps last week, and they are ramping it up this week, and based on how he does with that ramp up, it'll be an indicator on if he's ready to go this week or not. If he's not ready to go, Andy Reid said they could kick Tooney back out to the left tackle spot. That's one option, or Wanya, of course, is currently still available as well. And I just want to point out real quick that while Wanya Morris has struggled this season, I mean, we can see it with our own eyes when we watch games, but also he's in a not so great area of this graph when he's left on an island, which is why DJ Humphries playing at just an average to slightly above average level will do wonders for this offense. So while Wanya is not in the best spot, Jawaan Taylor is up there in his grade with Joe Alt. Taylor honestly isn't playing horrible football. It's just the fact that you have to combine his losses with his penalties. He's the third most flagged tackle in the NFL. So if the guy can somehow just figure out how to clean up mainly just his pre-snap penalties, there won't be much to worry about on the right side. The problem is he just loves to line up deep, way back here, and then move early. So that's why he's still getting hit with illegal formations and false starts in these games. His deep dropbacks are also a potential reason as to why Trey Smith has given up 21 pressures on the year compared to Joe Tooney giving up only 8 on the other side. Jawaan often drops back so deep that it puts added stress on Trey Smith, which is a bummer to see. Then Jawaan Taylor also has the worst run block grade outside of Wanya Morris himself. So it's definitely not perfect over there on the right side, okay? But the thing is, Mahomes can see that side. When he steps back, he can see here in his peripheral, okay? But he doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. You can't see the blind side, and that's why the protection quality of his blind side is the most important thing to fix by far, right now, at least as far as the offense is concerned. In spite of that, Mahomes doesn't believe the left tackle play is bothering him too much. He's played with them all before and trusts them. When things break down in the pocket, he just does his best to try and make plays, and that's what he's going to continue to do. I mean, don't get too upset with me, okay? That's what he said himself during his presser today, but come on. He's a nice guy, media trained since he was a toddler and isn't going to throw these guys under the bus. His frustration over the O-line play was evident last game. That's something we all saw as he slammed the football after taking another sack in the red zone late in Friday's game. However, Mahomes said his frustration right there was more because they went just 1-4-5 on the day inside the 20. He felt like there was people open on that play, and this was a big drive, had a big point in the game, so when they didn't execute at the highest level there, that was the reason for his frustration. Well, I mean, he was sacked in like a second, so probably the highest level could have just been holding for one more second on the left side, but I digress. On the subject of DJ Humphries, though, Mahomes said he's been very impressed by him. Stick around, because this is interesting. He said he was very impressed by him as he continues to work during his short time here. And then he said this. He said that hopefully DJ will be ready to go as soon as possible. So when you combine Mahomes saying that to Andy Reid's answer in his presser about Humphries, that's why some, including Pete Sweeney of Arrowhead Pride, are getting the impression from both of these answers that DJ Humphries will start on Sunday night against the Chargers, of course, barring any major setback. But let's be honest, if DJ's knee, the torn ACL and all that, and the overall health is fine, and there's no worries or concerns there, tell me in the comments below what the heck it's going to hurt to have him out there rather than Wanya Morris or Kingsley Suamataia. I mean, maybe a breakdown in communication here or there. That's fine with me. I'll take that over getting scorched in a half a second like an egg on a sidewalk in the heat of a California summer day. Remember, DJ said in his introductory presser a couple weeks ago, at least right when he first got here, that he's ready to get out there and play as soon as the coaching staff wants him to. So please, coaching staff, want him to do it this Sunday. This is the biggest thing needed for the team's success. A raise, not even a huge raise, just a bit of a raise in left tackle play, which in theory will raise the ceiling of the entire offense. And I get it, they also want to play the long game, i.e. they have the playoffs in mind, not just a regular season matchup against the Chargers, but each and every game down the stretch is pretty important as they seek the 1 seed, and a win over the Chargers this Sunday will have the Chiefs lock up officially the AFC West for the 9th consecutive season. Now, while we can't wait for DJ Humphries to get out there and start, a couple players did make their return last week, with Isaiah Pacheco busting off the longest run of the entire season for the Chiefs via that 34-yarder up the left sideline. Andy Reid said they wanted to give Pacheco right around 20 plays in his first game back, getting back into the mix, and he came out healthy and feeling good with no setbacks, so I would anticipate his workload only increasing over the next couple of games. He and Kareem split 7 carries apiece, so maybe Pacheco will outwork Hunt this Sunday, but we shall see. Honestly, I have no idea at this point in time. Another player back actually made his season debut, and that was defensive end Charles Omenihu. The good news is Omenihu spoke with the media today and said he feels good after his first game out there. He doesn't have any soreness. There's no swelling. He played 34 snaps, feels good, and had no trouble today at practice or throughout the weekend. That is some great freaking news. Omenihu also said he wanted to play well in his first game back, and while he may not have met his own expectations upon his return, he's got to have grace with himself since he hadn't played in over 300 days. His foot is on the gas, though, and his mentality is to get back out there and go. And the reason why this is such great news to me is because another quality pass rusher is not only going to help take pressure off of Chris Jones, who's playing a career high in snaps this season and is honestly playing some great freaking ball, but it will also help elevate others around him along the line, like George Karlaftis. George led the team in pressures on Sunday, for example, and I believe part of that was helped by the fact that Charles Omenihu had a pressure win percentage of 15.8% on the day, which was the highest of any defensive lineman that had over 20 pass rush snaps. Chris Jones was next with 11.8, while Turk Wharton was after that at 10.5. Guys, this is only Omenihu's first game back in 300 or more days, and the guy was a huge boost to the defensive line. This will not only help them get additional pressure on opposing quarterbacks, but it's also going to help a struggling secondary. After all, the next best thing to a great cornerback out there in coverage is the pass rush getting home and disrupting the passer. Speaking of the secondary, McDuffie said today in his presser with the media that the goal this game, this Sunday against the Chargers, is for the guys to get out there, make plays on the ball, and get their confidence back. A lot of times they are there or close by in coverage. The other team's pass catchers just happen to be the ones making a play on the ball. Well, Trent, hopefully that's exactly what happens, because Justin Herbert is a much better quarterback than Bryce freaking Young or Aiden O'Connell. That's why I'm so stoked to see how well Omenihu has played, and why I'm hopeful that this helps the defense take a step up. It's definitely needed, while the hopeful start of DJ Humphries will also do the same for the offense. It's safe to say that things are moving up at the right time for the Chiefs, and it does make me feel confident about this upcoming game. And while I'll save my score prediction and more detailed thoughts on the game for Friday's preview video, that's where I wanted to get your thoughts on how you think things should be trending for the team on both sides of the ball, given Omenihu looking great in his first game back and DJ Humphries trending to start this week. Are you optimistic, thinking a W is incoming, or still at a concern level of red alert, given how close these games have been, especially recently with quarterbacks who are nowhere near Justin Herbert's level? Let me know either way in the comments down below, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?